Alright everybody, how we doing today? So, from RT, or Rupley, the final story for today, the strangest story for today, I can't believe they did this. Congress tells Trump a new Pentagon budget bill, may the Space Force be with you. Oh yeah, that's right. They just went and okayed the budget for the Space Force. What? Yep, U.S. Space Force is about to become a sixth branch of the military, courtesy of Congress, going along with President Donald Trump's popular campaign promise, even as Democrats try to impeach him from office. Included in the 3,500-page National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, for the fiscal year 2020 is the provision recognizing space as a war-fighting domain and establishing the Space Force as a separate service branch. While it is a step up from the current Space Command, the USSF will still be embedded under the U.S. Air Force in an arrangement mirroring the relationship of the Marines and the Navy. Congress, don't delay this anymore. I will sign this historic defense legislation immediately, Trump tweeted on Wednesday. The full tweet, I will now do my best Trump impression. Wow. All of our priorities have made it into the final NDAA. Pay raise for our troops, rebuilding our military, paid parental leave, border security, and Space Force. Congress, don't delay on this anymore. I will sign this historic defense legislation immediately. Space Force's budget will start at $72.4 million, which is a tiny sliver of the $738 billion allocated to the Department of Defense by the 2020 NDAA. Prospective space cadets will have to wait a bit longer, however, as the new branch will not start adding personnel until it finishes transitioning from Space Command. An overview of the USSF published by the Air Force earlier this year envisions the new branch starting with just 200 or so people and growing to around 15,000 by the end of fiscal 2024. The conference agreement harmonizing the House and Senate versions of the NDAA creates the Office of Chief of Space Operations, CSO, who will report directly to the Air Force Secretary and get a seat on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The bill provides for the current head of the U.S. Space Command, Air Force General John J. Raymond, to serve as CSO for the first year and help with the transition to a full-service branch. Leave it to the Republicans to be able to do something like this economically. If the Democrats had handled this kind of thing, they would have spent billions instead of millions. I'm not kidding. That's what they do. Any project or problem they have, they just throw money at it. You just can't do it like that. They can't govern. But on the serious note, you know that the United States is not going to be the only country to do this. Once they see the United States doing this, people will start to worry, and then they'll start their own space forces and their own space commands. In response, you will ignite an arms race, which, all in all, will have a major benefit to overall national GDP, certainly. But at the same time, there will be the inevitable threat of violence and maybe actual wars conducted in space. And who the hell knows what kind of result that will be. Maybe it will be the literal end of the world. I'm hoping that the space footage that comes out, if any wars occur, journalists going into space, visiting usually wars in space, will finally be able to silence all this flat Earth nonsense. That much I'm looking forward to seeing dispelled. Flat Earth, oh my god. I can't believe people actually believe in that shit. I'm not trying to be a jerk, folks. I'm not trying to be a jerk if you are a flat earther. I'm not trying to be mean. But your beliefs are truly hilarious to me. I can't help it. People get mad when you laugh at them, but you gotta realize, to some extent, laughter is an involuntary bodily function. You literally have no choice. Sometimes. That's not always the case, but frequently. So be more understanding of that. But Trump first floated the idea of a Space Force in March 2018, floated as in zero gravity. The concept proved so popular among the supporters that he soon included it in a list of campaign promises. For a while, it seemed like Congress might put the brakes on his ambitions, as the funding for a separate service branch just wasn't there. Trump settled for ordering the creation of the Space Command in February 2019 and made it happen in August. Many questions about the Space Force still remain. Face Force. The U.S. does not currently have a civilian crewed spaceship, but the Air Force has used what looks like a smaller version of the defunct space shuttle to conduct classified missions in orbit. It is also unclear how the USSF will mesh with the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which prohibits the deployment of weapons in Earth's orbit, and to which the U.S. is a signatory party. It would not be the first time the Trump administration unilaterally withdraws from an international treaty. It deems no longer useful to Washington's interests, however. I love that he's putting America first, but at the same time he's also instigating potential violence. This may be another way in which he puts the idea of peace at risk, just like taking us out of the Iran nuclear deal. I shudder to think what's going to happen if Trump instigates violence. Ideally, I would want diplomatic teams sent to countries that were concerned about the Space Force and given assurances that no preemptive violent move is going to be made. That we will not be any kind of aggressor, rather it will be anticipation of aggression. And don't specify any specific aggressor. Be generalized. Tell them the truth, but don't be too truthful. Because then they might see that as a reason to be afraid of you. I am afraid of this in general, because let's not forget, this is the government that is the only government in the world that dropped 2 atomic bombs. And no other government ever has. There are so many things about this that could go wrong, and just as many that could go right. So I sincerely hope that Trump and his administration has the ability to make sure that this goes in a direction that is copacetic, that they don't cause some new problem which then later has to be fixed by a future president. I don't want to see that. I don't want to live to see that. Please handle this with care. Anyway, peace. Literally peace. I mean it.